All right. Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. We love getting into the nitty-gritty of cannabis, and you guys, you always have the best questions. This one comes up a lot,
It really does.
and we figured it was time to give it a full deep dive of its own. Cannabis
For the
trichomes.
breadcrumbs. Yeah.
Now, I gotta admit, when I first heard about trichomes, I was like, okay, those little hairs, what's the big deal?
Right.
But let me tell you, there's so much more to them. They're not just hairs.
Absolutely not.
It's
Yep.
like each one is like its own little factory on the plant, producing all those compounds, those cannabinoids, terpenes, that make cannabis so unique.
Exactly. It's really mind-blowing when you think about it. This microscopic world is where all the magic happens. It determines the entire cannabis experience.
And that's what we're going to do today, dive deep. We're not just going to scratch the surface and tell you what they are.
Nope.
We're going to get into why you should care. Like,
Oh.
what's the practical knowledge here? How can you use this information, even if you're not growing cannabis yourself?
Because trust me, there's a lot you can learn from these little guys.
Totally. So first things first, I was blown away to learn that there are actually different types of trichomes.
Yeah, there are.
It's not just like one trichome fits all. They have different jobs, different functions.
It's like a team of specialists all working together on the plant.
I like that, a team of specialists.
Yeah.
So walk us through the trichome lineup. What are we working with here?
All right, so first up, you got the tiny ones, like the bulbous trichomes. These guys are super small, almost invisible to the naked eye. They kind of look like those little glistening dewdrops?
Yeah.
Just tiny dots of resin, really.
Okay, so bulbous, super tiny. What's next?
Then you have the capitate sessile trichomes. Now, these are a bit bigger. They kind of look like, I guess you could say, miniature mushrooms.
Oh, interesting.
But without the stalks, they're just kind of sitting there on the plant surface.
Got it.
But the ones we really want to focus on, the stars of the show, those are the capitate stalked trichomes.
Okay, capitate stalked. Now, those are the ones that you can actually see,
Yeah.
right? Like without a microscope.
Absolutely. These are the big guys, the skyscrapers of the trichome world. You can see them with the naked eye, and they're packed with all the good stuff. The cannabinoids and terpenes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Can you just quickly remind me, those are the two things that really matter most, right? Why are they so important?
Of course. So cannabinoids, those are your THC, CBD, all the different compounds that give cannabis its effects, whether it's pain relief, relaxation, euphoria, all that.
Right.
And then the terpenes, those are responsible for the aroma and flavor. Like if you get that skunky smell or that citrusy or earthy, those are the terpenes.
Makes total sense. So these capitate stalked trichomes, those are the ones that are churning out those compounds.
Exactly. They're the main production hubs.
So what's going on inside one of those things? How are they actually making these compounds?
All right, so picture this. A capitate stalk trichome kind of looks like a tiny mushroom, right? It's got the stalk and then the little round head on top.
Yeah, I can picture that.
Now, the stalk isn't just there for support. It's also like a highway system. It transports nutrients and all the building blocks up to the head where the real action happens.
Oh, wow. It's like its own little factory with its own transportation system.
Exactly. And then inside that head, there are these specialized cells called disc cells, and those are the real workhorses.
Okay.
They're like little factories within a factory, churning out those cannabinoids and terpenes.
That's wild. And, I've always been curious about this, that sticky resin on trichomes.
Yeah, the resin.
Like one time I was handling some cannabis, and my fingers were so sticky afterwards.
Oh, yeah, that's classic. Well, that resin isn't just there to make your fingers sticky.
What is it for?
It's actually super important for the plant. It acts like a shield, protecting those precious cannabinoids and terpenes from, things like UV radiation from the sun or pests that might try to damage the plant.
So it's like their little suit of armor.
Exactly. And yeah, it does have that side effect of making your fingers a little sticky.
Well, fair enough. Now, this is where things get really interesting, especially if you're someone who uses cannabis.
Okay, I'm listening.
The color of the trichomes, it actually tells you something about the plant, right? Like how potent it is, what kind of effects you can expect.
It's like the trichomes are sending you a signal, a coded message, if you know how to read it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So when they're first developing, the trichomes are clear. They're still young, haven't produced much yet.
Right.
But as they mature, they start to turn cloudy or milky, and that's when you know they're at their peak for THC production.
So if I see cloudy trichomes, it's going to be more potent.
You got it. And then, as they age even further, they start to turn amber or golden. Now, this means the THC is starting to degrade into another cannabinoid called CBN.
And what's CBN like?
CBN, it's less psychoactive than THC, so you're not going to get that same, head high. But it can be very relaxing, even sedative.
So it's like the trichomes are giving you a visual timeline of what's happening chemically in the plant.
Exactly. And this is why growers, they obsess over trichome color. It tells them when to harvest to get the exact effects they're looking for.
So it's not just about how the cannabis looks. It's about those tiny little factories and what they're telling you.
You got it. And here's another fun fact. Cannabis isn't the only plant with trichomes.
Wait, what? Really? I thought that was a cannabis thing.
Nope. Lots of plants have them. Like, have you ever brushed up against stinging nettles?
Oh, yeah, I've made that mistake.
Those stinging hairs, those are actually trichomes.
Get out of here. So what are they doing on other plants?
All sorts of things. Sometimes it's for defense, like those nettles. Sometimes it's to attract pollinators or protect the plant from too much sun, things like that.
Wow, so those little things are way more common and way more important than I realized.
Nature is full of surprises, isn't it? There's a whole world of complexity happening even in something as seemingly simple as a plant.
That's a great point. Trichomes. Tiny structures. Huge impact. So next time you encounter cannabis, I want you to take a closer look at those trichomes. They might tell you more than you think.
Absolutely. Always remember, there's more to learn, even in the things we think we know.
Great advice. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.